August 17th, 2023, journal entry number 13. Back in the day, specifically in middle school, I had my fair share of locker moments, and actually in high school too, I had quite a few locker moments. And here they are now, still in a game show host voice. The middle school I went to used to be the high school, way back when, but as the city grew, they built a high school, and so the middle school became the oldest school building in our city. Fun fact, I guess. Very creepy 3-story building, very ancient. Our school system, there we go, had elementary school being from kindergarten to 5th grade. The middle school was 6th through 8th, and the high school was 9th through 12th grade. In the middle school, they have the 6th graders to their own gym class, and then they mix the 7th and 8th grade boys and girls together for gym. Why? Not a clue. But it was very entertaining, not to say the least. So, I was an awesome 8th grader. Thank you very much. I was a dork. Let's be real here. One day before gym, we 7th and 8th grade boys are in the locker room changing, and I and this 7th grader had to share a locker. We had to fit both of our backpacks and our clothes together in this itty bitty locker space. I called this kid Mirror Boy. He was funny, and he had a cool hair flip. Now, Mirror Boy, for some reason, thought it would be best for him to carry his entire locker's worth of books in his book bag. He was like one of those freshmen in high school you see, fresh out the gates with not a clue as to how to walk in the darn hallways. So, Mirror Boy was having a hard time putting the giant book bag in our shared gym locker. Go figure, right? And we live in a sketchy area anyway and have these old security guards in the locker room to protect our belongings, which was bull poop because that stuff got stolen all the time anyways. Moving on. We were both going to be late at roll call, so I figured it'd be nice if I was to help shove that effing bag of death into our tiny locker. So, my right hand got under the backpack, and my left hand was on the back as I used my full body weight to force the thing into the locker, crushing my stuff behind his bag. So, pushing it in, and somehow my right hand got pinned between his book bag and the latch of the locker. And the only way to get my hand free was to literally yank it out, and that's what I did. By ripping my hand out of the locker, I gashed my right index finger's knuckle. I'm bleeding everywhere, and I'm like, darn it, I want to play basketball today. Mirror Boy's like, bro, you gotta go to the nurse. I'm like, no, it's the last day of basketball. I gotta play. So I hid my bleeding hand in my gym shorts pocket to avoid going to the nurse. We had a substitute coach that day, too, I remember. We're playing basketball. This woman coach has no idea that I'm bleeding. We get like 10 minutes deep into the game. I get the ball. I go in for a layup, make the basket. I score. I'm flailing around while cheering at my accomplishment. And then I notice that there's blood flying everywhere from my hand. The substitute was like, you need to see the nurse now. I was like, psh, please, this stopped bleeding a while ago. I didn't really notice how much I was still bleeding until I actually just looked down at my hand to see the splatters of blood all over the gym's floor. A bunch of dudes from both grades on both teams just started laughing at me in approval, and a few of them were like, no blood, no fun. I ran to the nurse then, got a quick bandage, ran back, finished the game, and my team won the basketball unit for gym that year. I was so proud of myself and us collectively. Seriously, I just find it hilarious as to how determined I was to simply play out that game and not pay attention to the medical needs I so clearly needed. I remember telling my mom that story as soon as I got home from school, and yeah, she was not happy. You could have died, she said. Not from a cut on my hand, dear mother. I rolled my eyes. But those lockers are filthy. You could be infected, she replied. She was right, but yeah, no infections, just a cool scar to remind me of that glorious day forevermore. Haha. Another middle school locker story. In 7th grade, a year before my hand got stuck in a locker, my locker was to the left of this girl, Patrice, and to the right of this boy, Mark. Almost every single nice day of school, my friend Ray would meet me at my locker after the last period so we could walk home together. It was good times. So, one day, Mark was fighting with Patrice about something. I think it was about their home ec egg baby they both had to take care of or something. So I pushed my way to get into my locker as they're still arguing, and eventually they stop once Mark accidentally drops their egg baby on Hall's floor. Patrice is so upset because she didn't want to fail because of Mark, so Mark takes out duct tape from his locker and covers their egg baby in the tape to heal it. It was a hard-boiled egg, by the way. A week later, they were still tiffy with one another, so Ray had this great idea. Hey, she asked one day after school at my locker after Patrice and Mark left, why don't we put gum under Patrice's lock and blame it on Mark if she ever asks? Yeah. I laughed as I watched Ray put her chewing gum on the back of Patrice's combination lock on her locker. The next morning, Patrice flips out when she touches the gum on her lock, and she's like, Yo, who did this? Maybe it was Mark, I asked innocently. Maybe the F it wasn't, Mark retorted. Maybe I'll put my foot up your butt if it was, Patrice yelled. Maybe you should try that, witch, Mark yelled back. Bad neighborhood, might I remind you. We were all violent by nature, sadly. The two parted ways as I'm dying of laughter and run to Ray's locker to tell her what happened. So we made a pact that we'd do it at least once a week until the school year had ended and never speak of it again until we were seniors and about to graduate. Once a week, we added the gum. Once a week, Patrice would scream at Mark and vice versa. But by the springtime, the two of them actually started dating, and it wasn't fun anymore to add the gum to her lock. So we stopped. 5 years later, I happened to have a sculpting class with Patrice, our senior year of high school. Springtime, before finals and prom and such, I went up to Patrice during class one day. Hey, Patrice, I smirked. Remember back in 7th grade when Mark put his gum on your lock? Yeah, she laughed. I hated him for that for the longest time. Well, I confessed, it was actually Ray and I who did it, not Mark. But you two fighting was hilarious, and then somehow you both started dating, so yeah, figured you should know. She stared at me, wide-eyed, and started laughing. Man, you two were real pricks back then. Good joke, though, seeing as I was convinced it was him, still all these years later. Childhood pranks. Genius mastermind work? Or purely junkish? You be the judge. One more locker story, this one taking place in high school. So, when I was a junior in high school, 16, 17, roughly? I took biology. I was 16 when this happened. I had this kick-butt locker in the family sciences wing of the building, and I decked it out with a mirror ball and this birthday card that I rigged up so it would sing a song every time the locker opened, and then it would stop when the locker was closed, just as the card was designed to do. But I made it work for the locker. It was some rock and roll 1950s song, Rock Around the Clock, something like that. I think that's what it was called. At least it lasted like a full 6 months too, taped up in there. I was impressed. One day in bio, we started a course on dissection. We each had groups of 4 to dissect and label a sheep's eye correctly. My first time smelling formaldehyde, actually. I held the eye between my left thumb and index finger for some reason, examining the retina, and my fingers slipped, and the sheep's eye rolled down my shirt and pants and splattered on the floor as my group started laughing their butts off. I stood up, threw my gloves down on the desk, and announced, I'm going to change my clothes now. I hobbled out of the room, a complete laughingstock, full of eye juices, and managed to get to my regular locker. Now, I had clothes in both my gym locker and my regular locker just in case. This was that just in case moment. I had no shame. It was still during a period anyways, and I stripped down to my socks and boxers to get the gross clothes off of me and put new ones on. Little did I know that time sped up faster than I assumed, and the bell rang, indicating the 4-minute transition between periods. A flood of students and teachers were all walking down the hall to get this way or that, and they all stared me down as I'm literally just standing there in my socks and boxers. No one said anything to me. No one laughed. No one was fazed by me standing half naked in the middle of the hallway with Rock Around the Clock playing in the background. Some kids stopped and asked if I was all right. I explained the sheep's eye, and they were all like, yeah, bro, you do your thing. I couldn't believe it. Everyone has those naked dreams where they're in public and everyone's laughing at them, but I was living it, truly living it, and no one laughed. No one was fazed or even cared that I was half naked in the school hallway. Not even the vice principal cared as she strolled on by. It was at that moment I realized how powerful I actually was with people. Everyone knew that I knew everyone. as a means of insurance. Like, if I was messed with by one group, then another would fight for me. If anyone messed with my brother, they were met with payback by others. I had eyes and ears everywhere, and it was at that moment that I realized who I was. I was the guy who could do anything and be half naked in public, and no one would mess with me for fear of repercussions. I had power, and I was hooked. Lockers, dude, good times. Haikus. 301. Most things never change, but almost all things do change. Change is frightening. 302. I am so hungry, but what should I be eating? Liquids or solids? 303. How long these days are? This suffering has no point. What am I to learn? 304. Things that scream and boo. The spirit of Halloween. Lights and some cobwebs. 305. Can ghosts be afraid? Dogs have different languages. The sky is so blue. 306. Everything as was. Status quo. Antebellum. The state before war. 307. Sassafras flavor. Also a medicine tree. F.U. sassafras. 308. Grapes are a weird fruit. Dried grapes turn into raisins. Raisins should be gone. 309. Stranded on island. It's a pretty long island. I can't die on this. 310. Total recalled toys. What idiot designed this? Who approved this toy? 311. Swoopy hair and short. His smile is infectious. Energy surrounds. 313. Owl on the wall. I think it's made of cotton. Why is it hanging? 313. 312? 313? 313. Where are the cookies? I thought they were on the shelf. Where the F are they? 314. Words are my weapon. I am opinionated. You're an idiot. 315. What happened to Jack? Where the hell did he go? Christmas Town is real. 316. A girl of patchwork. A pumpkin head. Who's named Jack? Burton took from Bound? 317. Video games rule. They help surgeons concentrate. Coordination. 318. Paul was a great man. He lived life to the fullest. Paul is a true saint. 319. Emerald City. Adventures start and end there. Osmus shall rule all. 320. What energy drinks? Some monsters or bowls of red? My teeth hurt really bad. My teeth hurt real bad. There we go. 321. Holy effing Zeus. You're such a dirty gore face. No one likes you, Lars. 322. I have to pee. Bad. But I always have to pee. Drinking water sucks. 323. A green slime monster. He just eats everything up. Just give him the cake. 324. People can smell good. People can also smell bad. These witches smell gross. 325. Stomach is hurting. What the hell did I just eat? Spicy food kills me.